Alright guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm doing another what sold. I'm going to be sharing some items that sold in May of 2025. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the first item is this Batman, The Killing Joke First Print 1988 by Alan Moore, DC graphic novel Joker, Brian. I actually got this from the ephemera lot that I had bought at a thrift store about a couple of months ago. This sold fairly quickly. I would say I probably have like maybe 10 or 20 cents into this, and it sold for $24, and it was in great condition. It had no flaws at all, and it took about 2 weeks to sell after I had posted it. Really fast flip. Next item is this Harley Davidson women's short sleeve size medium zip up garage shirt, black. I got this from a thrift store and I paid about $2 for it. It was in pretty good condition. It did take a while to sell. I would say this probably took about 6 months or at least close to that, and it sold for $25. So I noticed that some Harley Davidson stuff can sell kind of quickly, while others, because that day where I thrifted this item, I actually found a bunch of Harley Davidson women's tops, and some of them sold like right away, like within like the same day or some days to like weeks later, but this one took a little bit longer to sell, and I do think I had it priced up pretty high, but somebody sent me an offer for $25 and I accepted it. Stuff NHL Philadelphia Flyers split color plush bear mascot toy. I don't know why I didn't put color block. But anyways, I got this, I believe, from Goodwill. My Goodwill, I don't know if all the Goodwills do it, but my Goodwill in particular, they have like a deal where they do like, I think it's like 10 plush for $2. So I would say probably I paid like maybe 50 cents for him, and he sold for $7, and he did take about 2 months to sell. The next item is this Jellycat London Bashful Monkey Brown Tan Plush Lovey Stuffed Animal Toy, 12 inches. I got him from a thrift store. Most of the items that I share with you, they all come from like a thrift store unless otherwise specified. Some items might come from the bins or maybe estate sales, garage sales, but for the most part, most of them I think are going to be like thrift stores. He was not a high dollar Jellycat, but he did sell for my listing price of $15. I paid $1 for him, and he took about 3 months to sell. Item is this NFL Jacksonville Jaguars Jackson DeVille mascot plush. I believe I got him from Goodwill too, probably in like a similar lot from Goodwill where it's like 10 plush for $2. I did overprice him, I believe, but I couldn't find anything like him for sale at all. So that is why I priced him high, but I always have like best offer on most of my items, nearly all of them. I paid $1 for him, and somebody sent me an offer for $20, and he took about just like a few weeks to sell. I know it was under a month. Next item I have is this vintage 1972 Ouija board game, William Flood Mystifying Oracle Parker Brothers. This is actually the second time I found a Ouija board. The first time I found it, I did not buy it because I was kind of skeptical about it, with it being a Ouija board and all. But I did decide to go ahead and pick this one up because I don't run across these things very often. And I believe I paid $2 for it, or a dollar, and it sold for $19. And it took about 3 weeks to sell. So I know there are some Ouija boards out there that are worth, a lot of money. I believe those are the older ones, though. Like, probably older than this. Or unless it's a certain brand. I don't know. But if you know, let me know in the comments. Next item is this Time and True women's size extra large, size 22 white eyelet tiered peasant dress, 100% cotton, boho. I got this dress from my sister. She was cleaning out her closet, and this wasn't really like her style. It was pretty much like new without tags. and it sold for $18 and it took about 2 months to sell. This next item is super amazing, super cool find. I know whenever I go to a thrift store, I always try to look for well, I always pay attention to like baby dolls and stuff, but especially the ones that look realistic, like the reborn dolls. So I didn't even look this doll up. I just knew I was going to get it. The toys at this thrift store were pretty low, and I got like a trash bag full, and I paid like $4. So I literally have cents into this item, like maybe 20 cents, possibly less, if you can believe that. They also do like student discounts and stuff. So I definitely undersold this doll as well. I could have got probably a couple $100 more than this. So I listed her and she literally sold within like 10 or 20 minutes. So you definitely want to look for these vintage baby dolls, but this one is a Vogue baby doll, deer doll. Um, but yeah, so this one, it being Vogue, you can see that tag right there. I don't know. I feel like this type of tag would probably like eventually fall off. So I would definitely, if you find something similar to this, you definitely want to look it up. Prices were definitely all over the place. Um, but I believe, and her hair was in like kind of like rough condition and stuff. Other than that, and she did have like a vintagey smell for sure, like she had been sitting in somebody's attic or something for years. But otherwise, in really great condition. And she sold within minutes for $290. But like I said, I believe I definitely undersold her, which is fine because I only paid 20 cents for her. And she sold within minutes for $290. So this doll is definitely a BOLO. And that same day that I bought her, I actually did buy another doll that I realized at the research was a Vogue doll, but it does not sell for as much as this one. But definitely you want to look for that name with these reborn looking dolls. It's this vintage Disney store balloon shirt. Size small, Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, Daisy, Pluto. I actually thrifted this from Plato's Closet. I don't shop there too often. But I saw this and it being vintage and everything. I decided to go ahead and pick it up to resell. I paid about $8 for this, and it sold for $68, and it took about a month to sell. There was no more of these items listed when I, did my research and looked it up. So I was a little skeptical about it with it being like $8, a little bit more than what I like to spend on certain things I pick up, but with it being, vintage and stuff, and it was a size small, so that was another reason why I was a little skeptical about it. But it did sell, and it sold within a month for my asking price of $68. Next item are these Nike sneakers. I paid $2 for these at a church thrift store. They did have a little bit of wear on them. I don't really, clean shoes up too much because I don't want to mess them up. So I just try to do like a little wipe off and just kind of sell them as is. But I paid $2 for these, and they sold for an offer that was sent to me from the buyer for $28, and they took about 2 months to sell. Little Puddles small red puppy dog. Um, it is 6 inches. I paid about 50 cents for this, and this took about 2 months to sell for $10. This is Flintstone stuffed plush toys, Pebbles, and Dino lot. Um, I initially, when I picked these up, I just knew they weren't like the best quality and they wouldn't sell for a whole lot. But because I only paid like $1 for both of them, I decided to lot them up to get a little bit more money, and they sold for $14, and they took about a month to sell. It says Disney Little Einstein's plush Annie doll, 12 inches, rare pink bows, blue dress. I actually got her the same day that I bought that Vogue baby doll. I did not look her up. She just looked familiar to me, and just something about her, I just knew that she would be worth the money. So, literally have sent into her, and she sold for $48, and she sold within a few days, so she sold super quick. So this plush is definitely a BOLO to be on the lookout for. Definitely, I think a lot of things anyways that are little Einsteins you want to kind of look into because they don't make those toys anymore, and some of the items can be, um, rare. Even her eyes had like she has some condition issues, as you can see, her eyes starting to kind of like chip away a little bit. But I think why she sold for this amount is because there are plush like her that are wearing a pink dress, which is a little bit more common than this blue dress that she is wearing. So, but either way, I would still consider picking her up when you see her. Next item is a vintage Teddy Grahams Bear plush lot. I got these from the bins. They were in good condition. They were in a Ziploc bag and they were all together. So I decided to keep them together because you make a little bit more money for that. So I paid at the bin probably about $2 considering their weight, and they sold for $12 and they took a few days to sell. Next item is a 1962 anthropology book set, The Life of South African Tribe. I don't know how to say that name. But anyway, so this I got for free at a thrift store. Sometimes they'll put like free books on the porch. And I just saw these books and I just decided to grab them. It did take about a year to sell, but they did sell for $25. Vintage retro 1920s flapper girl face resin brooch pen with blue gem art deco. Um, I paid about 50 cents for this at a thrift store, and it took about oh, okay. So I paid 50 cents for this, and this pen sold for $14, and it did take about 3 months to sell. So a little bit longer, but it doesn't take up any space because it's so small. So I would pick it up again. Next item is a frayed women's size large Hawaiian tropical floral button shirt, top pink and green. This did take a little while to sell. I got this from the bins, and I did contemplate on keeping this for myself, because I really did like the colors. It was just really pretty. But anyways, this sold for an offer that was sent to me for $19, and they took about 4 months to sell. I can probably guess why. This wasn't like the best picture. I should have actually buttoned up the shirt and took a picture of it, and it probably would have sold maybe a little bit quicker because it kind of looks like a cardigan here. But anyways, so it was a decent sale for $19. Next item is this THML women's boho sleeveless tunic top, blue embroidered trim tassel, size medium. It did have a tie in the back. This actually came from my personal closet, and it sold for $19, and it took, I think, probably like a month or so to sell. Probably like a month or less. The next item is this stuffed animal house Canada bear. I got this, I think, from the bins, and it took it took a few weeks to sell, and it sold for an offer that was sent to me of $14. This is vintage Harley Davidson t-shirt, size large, made in the USA, Hog Wild Flame Head Biker. I got this actually at a thrift store, and I paid $2 for it. And as you can see, it has some condition issues where the artwork has started to crack a bit. But this shirt was definitely a more rare shirt. I think I saw another one like it listed for $75, but I decided to, sell mine for a little bit under that. And immediately once I listed it, I started getting attention right away and offers sent to me right away. I think a lot of them for like $20 and stuff. But I paid $2 for this, and it sold the same day for $30, which, I could have waited longer to get more money, but I like the fast flips considering I only paid a couple of dollars for it. It's the same day that I actually picked up that Harley Davidson shirt. So it was a pretty good day at two different thrift stores. This is a vintage Disney 102 Dalmatians denim overall shorts, size medium, or 18 months. Why did I say size medium? Size 18 months, tail wagon express puppy. You definitely want to look for anything that is like the 90s cartoons or movies, because a lot of them are BOLOs. And this was in like really good condition. Like it didn't have any flaws at all. And I paid $1 for this at a thrift store, and it sold the same day for $30. Once again, I'm sure I could have got like maybe $5 to $10 more, but once again, I prefer the fast flips and I consider what I paid for it. So I try not to undersell my items for, you know, too much or whatever, but I try to sell it for a decent profit. It's this vintage white leather belt with blue stones, rhinestones, and metal studs. I did not take the right picture of this. I believe this was supposed to be the front part of it, and I kind of took a backwards picture of it. I think I had a hard time understanding it. So it did take a little while to sell this. I actually bought this at the same thrift store on a different day that I bought that Dalmatians baby overall. But I paid about $5 for this, and it did take like 9 months to sell. But I do enjoy picking up belts because they don't take a lot of room and they're fairly easy to lift. Just throw them on a mannequin or wherever and just get the measurements and you're good to go. Which, you know what? I don't think I also got the measure. Oh yeah, I did. Okay. So yeah. Um, yeah, so this sold in 9 months, and I believe it sold for, I didn't put my price of it, but I want to say around 20 something dollars. I don't think it sold for $35, but I could be wrong. This item is this vintage baby toy songs lights and tuned junior puppy dog, 3 months, and it was from 1998, so it's vintage. I got this from Goodwill, and I paid $1 for it, and it did take about 5 months to sell. This item was definitely a BOLO, and it sold super quick. I got these books for free at a thrift store. They were on the porch, and it was like, I guess they get like an abundance of books, and books don't sell very quickly for them. So these were in a box. They were free. I decided to grab them and then just looked them up when I got home. I initially had all of these listed separately, probably for around like 50 to 70 something dollars each. And somebody reached out to me and they wanted all 3 books, so I did decide to just make a separate listing, and I put them for $150, and they sold the next day for $150. And these were sealed brand new in the pack, and they were from this year, so that was just a really cool, awesome flip. So definitely look out for these books, or a lot of like curriculum books, that type of stuff. Usually you want to look them up because there's some books out there that can sell for crazy money. It's this cool jacket men's medium black intercept fleece full zip black outdoor cork core. I got this from a thrift store, and I believe I paid like $2 for it, and they sold for an offer sent to me for $20, and they did take a few weeks to sell. Item is this new at Tags Chico size 2 open front cardigan sweater paisley swirl sheer boho artsy. I would not have grabbed this if it was not new at Tags, but I did decide to get it, and I want to say I paid about $3 to $4 for it, and it took less than a week to sell. So definitely want to look out for, I guess, certain Chicos out there can sell for decent money. Same day that I grabbed that Chico's cardigan that you just saw, I also grabbed this Lily Pulitzer Trina multi-rose to the occasion poplin swing dress, size large. Once I listed this dress, I got a lot of attention right away, like watchers and everything, even though that doesn't mean, doesn't always mean anything that it's going to sell right away. But this I paid $4 for at a thrift store, and it sold for $65, and it took about 2 weeks to sell. So definitely a nice little fast flip from a school sale, and it was just like by donation. So I got like a couple little bags full of items, like grocery bags, and I gave them like $20. Because they were trying to raise money to go on a trip somewhere. So these sold for $20, and I paid $1 for it, and these took less than 2 months to sell. Vintage Oshkosh Bigosh shorts, 3T blue plaid floral stretch USA taller girl. I never seen these before of Oshkosh, but I always try to look for the vintage Oshkosh because there are some items that can sell for like hundreds of dollars. So ever since I found an item, I believe it was the strawberry um, overalls that sold for like $200 or something like that. I'm always in the lookout for that type of stuff. So this sold like within minutes of me listing it, and I listed it fairly low because it did have like some condition issues. You can't really see in the picture, but like it had some light staining. But I did decide to grab them anyways because at the bench, like you're paying like what, maybe 10 cents for this item. Um, and it sold for my asking price of $15.95, and it sold the same day that I listed it. Item is a Sonoma Jean Company brown denim jumper dress, women's size small, cotton, pockets, boho. This did have like a few light staining, and I think a small snag, whatever, and it was a size small, so I was a little sketchy about getting it, but I only paid $1 for it, and it sold for $15, and it took a month to sell. So I know a lot of jumper dresses, I believe, are trendy right now, so I tried to look for those items, especially if they're going to be super at a super low price of $1. Airy blue rib bikini set, size large, high waist, high cut, cheeky, black or back tie swimwear. These I picked up at a thrift store for $1. They were in great condition and they sold for $14, and it took a week to sell these. So I do pick up some bathing suits. I'm not super familiar with brands that are like, super high dollar besides like, is it Miracle Suit or something like that? Some of them but I also look at the style. So and the color is what made me pick these up. And they were only $1. Vintage Barbizon nightgown, robe sets, size large, ivory, pink lace, embroidered floral. I picked this up at the Salvation Army thrift store, and I paid, I believe, like probably $3 to $4 for it. And pretty much once I listed it, it sold. I have found like Barbizon at least like 5 or 6 times. And I know there are some out there that can sell for a lot of money. This was just so pretty too. Some of them I can sell for decent money. But yes, I paid $4 for this, $4, and it sold in one day. So I would definitely, if you come across Barbizon, look into it. And if it's a decent price, I would consider picking it up. Bacon Baby Lovey Lamb Sheep Plush. I wrote Lovey twice. Oh, but I spelled it differently. Okay. Blue satin trim security blanket. I got this from a thrift store and I paid $1 for it. And it sold for $39, and it took about 4 months to sell. And I believe the person that bought this paid like a lot of money because they wanted it like express delivered to them. So contrary on what you might have heard or believe, you can actually sell underwear online. They have to be either new or like new with tags, or they can be vintage because I guess they're being sold as like a collectible. So you definitely can sell it if you don't mind it or you're not weirded out or grossed out by it. But these were a pair of vintage black satin animal string bikini. These were made in Hong Kong. And usually when you find underwear, they're only going to be like 50 cents to like $1 maybe. So, and they usually sell super quick. Like some of them can sell like within the same day or a few days. So they're quick sellers, easy to take pictures of. So these I bought at a thrift store and I paid 50 cents for them, and somebody sent me an offer for $28, and I did just go ahead and accept it because they didn't really have a whole lot of cool styling going on for it, so I thought that was a good price. The next item, also in the underwear category, are these vintage union made pink nylon lace petty pants, medium slip shorts, bloomers, panties. I got these from the Salvation Army thrift store along with some blue ones. The blue ones haven't sold yet, and I'm actually surprised because I thought those would sell quicker because I just love the color of them. Super pretty and cute. But yeah, these were just so cute. I feel like they were a little bit like kawaii a little bit in my opinion. I don't know. They just kind of had that like kind of look to them. But I paid $1 for these and they sold for my asking price of $38.98 and it took less than a month to sell. So you definitely want to look for like these style of like underwear as well. Next item sold super quick. This is in an American Girl Addie's patriotic party dress. And this is only the dress I put, and it was from 1995. I got this from the bins, and yeah, so I paid like really nothing for it, probably like maybe 5 cents or so. And these sold the same day I listed it, and I was actually like, I didn't even list it like the same day that I got this from the bins, but I paid like, like I said, maybe like 5 cents for it, and it sold within literally minutes of me listing it for $34. So definitely look out for the American Girl, or I'll say like Pleasant Company, um, clothing and accessories. Vintage Dollcraft and Industries plush puppy dog stuffed animal, 14 inches, wind up musical. I got this from the bins and I got it. I don't really think I looked it up, but I do try it. It did have like a tiny hole, but like I got this because besides it being vintage, but it did work. It played music and it was in fairly decent condition. So I probably paid like maybe $1 or less for it, and it sold for $22, and it took less than a week to sell. Of 68 Pokemon mini 1-inch figure toys from 2005, 6, and 7. I got this from a church thrift store, and they took a little while to sell. I believe I paid 50 cents for it, and they sold for $32. Texan Western Cowboy Pearl Snap Button Baby Toddler Boy Shirts. I initially listed these like ridiculously high when I first got them, thinking that they were just some great BOLO. Pictures are missing. But yeah, and it also did not have the size tag. I think that had a lot to do with it. Like, so I paid like $2 for these. They were $1 each. And they sold for $32 and they took a year to sell. So you definitely want to make sure that you price things accordingly because here I did not. So this next item I found at the bins. I initially thought this was Woodstock from Snoopy, but just like a crazy looking version of it. But no, it's this plush called Homestuck Scalemate. Like when I saw it, I felt he was like staring at me, by the way, like from the bin that he was in. And I was like, you know what? He looks like Woodstock, but like a weird, cheap version of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab it and I'll look it up later. That's like the best thing you can do at the bins. Like, when in doubt, just put it in your cart, look it up later. Because if you find it interesting, you better believe that somebody else probably does. But this plush is a BOLO and it can sell for a lot of money. I mean, people have him listed for like $200. That's just what he's listed for. But he was a little faded. Like I feel like he could have been a little bit more yellow than this. I feel like he's slightly discolored rather. And I did decide to list him for $95. So I paid probably $1 for him at the bins and he took a week to sell. So, and I definitely underpriced him too, but that's fine. I got him from the bins. Like, it's completely fine. I'm good with that. So he sold really quickly. Definitely want to look for him. I think there's some other buddies of this scale mate thing that they sell for even more money than him. I think like probably a couple $100 or more, like $300-400. So you definitely want to look out for this brand. Is this Iron Fist sleeveless blouse, small gothic skeleton, ribcage print, Peter Pan collar. I got this from the thrift store, and I believe I paid like $1 or $2 for it. Actually, I think my mom picked this out for me, to sell. But yeah, so this sold for $18 and it was in less than 2 weeks that this sold for. And immediately once I listed it, it got a lot of attention. So maybe this Iron Fist thing is like a BOLO type thing. I'm not quite sure, but it did sell fairly quickly. This beautiful um, lingerie top, which actually people are wearing these now as like regular tops. So I think I should actually put like top in here or blouse, and I did not do that. I just kind of marketed this as a nightgown piece when people are actually wearing this, as regular tops out and about. So this did take a little while to sell. I paid $2 for it at the thrift store, and it sold for $32. So really, really pretty top. Von Dutch silver tone and purple tag necklace. I got this from a church thrift store and I paid 50 cents for it. This did take about a year to sell. It's kind of funny because I initially had this posted on Poshmark and they like took down my listing because they said it wasn't like authentic or something strange, but it literally has Von Dutch right here in the back. So I don't understand it. I don't get it, but it's fine. It sold on eBay like a couple weeks after that happened from a person that sent me an offer for $100 and I gladly accepted it. And it did take about 9 months to sell this, but hey, I would pick it up again because it is Von Dutch. And I feel like that's always like a BOLO to probably look for out in the wild. Anyways, if you enjoyed watching this, please consider subscribing and leaving a comment and giving it a thumbs up so that way I can make more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching and good luck on your thrifting adventures.